Okay, so let's move on to example 2. So example 2, we have, kind of reminds me of a flower, but we have to find the perimeter of this figure and the area of this figure. And so remember, the perimeter is the distance around. So let's say I start in this corner right here, and I walk around this shape. When you see that I'm walking around it, I only go around the semicircles. I never touch the square in the middle. So I need to find the circumference of each of these semicircles so that way I can find the perimeter. So remember, the circumference of a shape is the diameter times pi, but each of these are semicircles. So I'm going to divide it by 2. So if I look at this shape right here, a little rough drawing, but I'm looking at this semicircle. I need to find the distance around that. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to plug in my diameter, and it's a little hard to tell because it says 2 inches off to the side, but that's saying that each of these side lengths are 2. So each side is 2. So I'm just going to redraw it so it's a little bit easier for me to see the diameter. So I have 2 times pi, we use 3.14, and then I'm going to divide that by 2 because I have a semicircle. So 2 times 3.14 divided by 2 gets me back to 3.14. So 3.14 is the distance around my semicircle. And you'll notice that each of these semicircles are the same. They're each a diameter of 2. So instead of doing this 3 more times, I'm going to take my 3.14, which is my circumference of my semicircle, and I'm going to multiply that by 4 because I have 4, let's use a different color. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 semicircles. So now let's do times 4, and I get 12 and 56 hundredths. So my perimeter is 12 and 56 hundredths, and then I'm going to label that in inches because that's what all of my measurements are in. So that perimeter wasn't too bad. Now let's find the area. So I'm going to erase all of this, and we are going to find the area of the shaded section. So again, think of it as a room, and you're trying to get carpet to cover the entire room. So we need to know how much to order. So the area will fill up, think of that as your carpet. You're trying to cover that whole shaded section. So in this composite figure, I see a square and I see semicircles. So to find the area of a square, I have my base times my height, and your base is 2, and my height is also 2. So this is just 2 times 2, and I get 4. Not too bad. So I just found the area of my square, so this section. So now I have my semicircles left to find. So to find the area of a circle, we have pi r squared, but it's a semicircle, so I need to divide that in half. So divide it by 2. So I have 3.14 times my radius. Now my radius is half of my diameter, so my diameter is 2. That's my distance across my circle. So half of that is 1, so my radius is 1. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 1 squared divided by 2. In your calculator, the same thing is doing 3.14 times 1 divided by 2. I'm actually going to show you can actually square it in your calculator, but you'll get the same thing. So we get 3.14 times 1 divided by 2 gives me 1.7 or 1.57. So I get 1.57. But now I'm going to show you where that squared button is on your calculator. So if I was doing 3.14 times 1 and I want that 1 squared, I just hit this button where it says x squared and it squares my 1. And then I can hit divided by 2 and I get the exact same thing. Now remember, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 semicircles. So I'm going to take my 1 and 57 hundredths times my 4 semicircles. So I'm going to multiply that by 4, and I get 6 and 28 hundredths. Now that's not my area yet. My area is when I take both areas of both of my composite figures and I add them together. So I have 6 and 28 hundredths plus 4, and remember to add up or line up those decimals. So my answer is 10 and 28 hundredths. And then remember, for area, we take our label, which is inches, and we put an exponent of 2. So that way we know that we found the area, or the filled in shape. So now what I want you to do is do the 2 try-its on your own, and then you'll check your answers with mine.